All right, welcome back to math today. We are reviewing on page 94 in your instruction book for your quiz, which for you all will be on Monday. So, the examples at the top, as always, read those examples if you're getting confused. I'm not going to spend the time to go over it. We will start at 23. Draw the next two shapes in the shape pattern below. So first, recommended advice, they say think about, okay, we got that shape, and then we got this shape, that shape, this shape. So how many alternating shapes do I have, Noah?
2.
Just 2. So if this was our last shape, we need to draw this one next. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should look similar. So the bottom is kind of like a rectangle with a triangle top. So go ahead, do your best. As long as you can tell it's not the other shape, it's good enough. And then this shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that would be a heptagon, a 7-sided shape.
Heptagon.
So do your best. Obviously that looks terrible, so just do your best.
I don't know.
Shh. Just draw it best you can. And that's it for that one, okay? Not too bad. Dylan?
What's a 9-sided shape called?
A 9-sided shape. Is that a nonagon? I think it's a nonagon.
Well, I mean, I actually
Yep. Nonagon. And then, does anyone know what a 10-sided shape is called? I think it's a dodecadon. I
That's a
think.
very
I'd have to go make sure.
That's a very good word.
All right. I'm going to scroll down. You can turn your head to the next page, number 24. About Ava. Would anyone like to read number 24? Please stop talking. Abby, go for it.
Is it Eva or Eva?
That is Eva. I read it too fast.
Eva drew a shape pattern that goes back and forth between rectangles and ovals. What are the 2 other ones that describe this set of shapes?
Okay. So we can't say it's a pattern of rectangle, oval, rectangle, oval. We need 2 other ways to describe our pattern. So we worked on this a lot yesterday and the day before. Think about what's different between this rectangle and this oval. What's one major difference between the 2? Cadence?
They're not the same thing.
Well, they're not the same shape, but we can't just say that. We have to give a pattern. Madeline?
The oval has no sides and the rectangle has.
Well, it has basically one outside line, right? Good morning, Wyandotte Elementary. I apologize. Pause you for a minute. Okay, so we need to think about angles. That's one of the really good things to think about. What do you guys notice about the angles that we have in our shapes? Noah?
We have a 360 angle and then a right angle.
Okay, so this has 4 angles, and we can say that this, is that a circle?
No.
Not really. There's no angles really in this picture. It's all curves. So we could say we have angles,
No angle.
no angles, angles, no angles, angles, no angles. So let's just make a bulleted list to save some time. So we can say angles, no angles, dot, dot, dot. I don't want to keep writing that forever. Make sure you're writing with me. It's good practice for you. Emma?
Can you use your whiteboard to follow?
You can as long as you're writing everything I'm writing. Alright, now there's something else that has to do with types of line. Think about how our shapes look. Liam?
It would be like sides, no sides, signs.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Josiah?
It kind of goes 4 0 4 0 4 0.
Okay. I see what you're saying there too. Angie?
Tall, short, because the rectangle is short and the oval.
Okay, so we could say that this is more a flat shape and this is more a vertical shape. That would work. So there is something on your homework practice, so I'm going to give you a little hint here. Are these all straight lines?
No.
Are these curved lines?
Yes.
That could be a pattern. So when you do your homework, I gave you a hint. Okay?
Curved line.
So we've got straight lines. Then curved lines. right? Curve. And that pattern could go on forever.
Can we just put dot dot dot?
Yep.
I have another one.
Hayden?
You could go quadrilateral. Can't say it. Quadrilateral. No, not a quadrilateral.
Okay, good. I like that. Remember, quadrilateral is a four-sided shape. That would be perfect. All right, let me scroll up, and it's time to look down at the next one. All right, problem about Lana. Who would like to read Lana's problem? Josiah?
Lana wrote the pattern below. If the pattern continues, what would be the next number in the pattern? Circle the letter of the correct answer.
All right, so first we need to read the pattern. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and if you remember Sergeant Sevens, Cadence?
42.
All right, so, our voices are off. All right, how did she know that? What's the rule? Noah?
It's 7. You're going up by 7s.
All right, so we are counting by sevens. All right, so 42 is an answer option. Remember, the way that helps me with multiple choice, I always think about my answer before I even look at my choices and then see if one matches. All right, now Diego chose D as the correct answer. How did he get that? I'm going to give everyone some thinking time. Everyone get some thinking time. So he chose 70. And we'll take several ideas. Angie, what do you think?
I think he chose 70 because if the pattern continues, I think he meant what would be the very end of the, what would be the, like sort of the very end of the pattern.
Okay, because 7 times 10 would be 70. No, what do you think?
I think he added 35 again. 35 plus 35 is 70.
Okay, he could have done that. Josiah?
I think he thinks the pattern's like double.
Okay, that might make sense. What if this guy looked at the 7 and the 14 and said, they did times 2? And then he didn't check anything else. You think maybe he was lazy, just checked the first one, said, I think it's times 2. Then he went the next number and he goes, 35 times 2, 70. That's probably what happened. Okay, so Diego looked at the 7 and the 14, the first two numbers, and thought it was times 2. If you've got your own words, you can write your own words, but we need to be quietly working. I will give you a minute to finish what you're writing. No, so it's important. You can't just look at the first two numbers and say, oh, I know the pattern. You've got to look over and over, right? You got to make sure the pattern continues. Hayden?
I added 14 and 17 and got 21.
All right.
So what do you mean by like the pattern continues or something?
Well, you can't just look at the first two numbers and say, oh, I know the pattern, because this is a good example. We can't tell just by those two numbers if he's adding 7 each time or if he's multiplying by 2.
So we have to look at the other numbers.
So we need to keep looking and keep seeing, all right, so he's added 7, he's added 7, he's added 7. We are adding by 7s, right? But if you only looked at the first one, you might think he's multiplying by 2. But if you checked the third number, you would know 14 times 2 is not 21. So then we'd know that can't be the pattern. All right, nice job with that one. go ahead and scroll it up for me. You guys need to flip the page. All right, now number 1 is a little tricky. What would be the 99th number in the pattern shown below? I'm just going to think about it for a minute. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what is the rule? What does it seem the rule is for our pattern? Quentin?
Well, times 10. I mean, adding 10.
Adding 10. Good job. If we were multiplying by 10, this would be much bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and write my rule. My rule is add 10. So every single time I'm adding 10. And we want to know the 99th number. Noah, what are you thinking?
There's a trick for tens.
Mhm.
Put a 0 under the number, and if you put a 0 under 99, that's 990. And I saw that was an answer on the board.
All right, what do you guys think? You think that works? All right, nice job. I thought that was going to be super hard for you.
No. No, it's right.
All right, how do I know, no matter what, the answers A and C are incorrect? How do I know that, Josiah?
Because A is 99 and C is 909, and that wouldn't work because the first one would just be if you just kept adding 1.
So if I'm counting by tens, are my numbers always going to end in a 0?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it ends in a 9, I'm not counting by tens. So you could always cross those off right away, which would leave us just these last 2 choices. All right, very good. Number 2, Nia drew the shape pattern shown below. So before we start, look at it. Think about how many shapes make up one set of the pattern. All right, so how many shapes do we have in the pattern before it begins to repeat? Some of you, I can see your eyes glazed over like donuts. Pay attention. Cadence.
There's another shape in there that doesn't go on a triangle.
Well, hold on just a second. How many shapes are in the pattern before it repeats? Noah? 4. So I'm going to trace them. I'm a very visual person. So I've got a triangle. I've got a square. I've got a pentagram.
Pentagram?
Pentagon, sorry, and a hexagon. Pentagram. All right. So triangle, square, pentagon, hexagon. And then it repeats. So which does not describe her pattern? Which does not? So one of these things does not describe the pattern. That's what I mean. A, each shape has one more side than the shape before it. Check very carefully before you answer. Each shape has one more side than the shape before it. I'm going to go ahead and label the sides inside my shapes. I recommend that you do the same. A triangle, Hayden brought up yesterday, triangles, 3 angles, 3-sided shape. Square is 4. A pentagon is 5. Hexagon is 6. So, A works, right? So we can put a check mark. That is not our answer because we are looking for the one that does not describe the pattern. B, the shapes in the odd numbered spots have an odd number of sides. All right, so this is spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, spot 4. So I'm looking for my odd numbered spots to see if they have an odd number of sides. So spot number 1 is odd. 3 is an odd number. Spot number 3 is odd. 5 is an odd number. Does that one work?
Yes.
That works. So that's not our answer.
Actually, no, it doesn't.
C, thank you those of you who are staying nice and quiet. The sides in the shape are all the same length. Josiah, what do you think?
No.
That's kind of where I'm leaning. It seems on shape 5 that maybe they're not all the same size, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to kind of put a question mark next to C, to see about D first. D. The hexagon only appears in spots that are multiples of 4. So the hexagon is this one, right? So multiples of 4 would be skip counting by 4. So if I count, this would be 5th spot, 6th spot, 7th spot, 8th spot. Do you think our pattern will continue that way?
Yes.
Yeah. The hexagons are always in a spot that's a multiple of 4. So they're in spot 4, they're in spot 8, they would be in spot 12, and so on. Angie?
What do you do the checks for?
The checks mean those are correct ways to describe the pattern. So we are looking for the one that does not. So you guys think it has to be C?
Yeah.
I think so. Has to be C. So I didn't do that problem super fast. It's okay to slow down on these problems and really think through your answers. All right, let me scroll down to number 3. All right, this is more practice of what we worked on yesterday. And you guys did a really good job.
Algebra.
All right, number 3. We are going to use the equation y equals 5 times x minus 2 to complete our table. So I like to write my equation big to the side. Y equals 5 times x. Remember, when two things are right next to each other like that, it means multiply. Minus 2. In our table, they give us different values for x. And what do I need to do with them? Hayden?
Multiply them by 5.
Right, we're just going to fill them in, each one at a time, and see what y would equal when x is 2. Let's start with that first. So y equals 5 times 2. I'm going to put it in parentheses because we know we have to do that step first, right, before we do our subtraction. Helps me remember. Then y equals, what is 5 times 2? Abby? 10. Minus 2 equals 8. So when x is 2, y is 8.
Ta-da.
All right. Let's try it again when x is 3. All right, you work ahead, see if you can get the same answer I get. When you finish, check your work with mine. All right, I'm seeing thumbs up, so I'll give you a little bit more time to finish your work. Nice job. Any questions about what we're doing? Angie?
What if you run out of space?
If you run out of space, you could grab your whiteboard and start squeezing it on there. All right, now we're going to do it 2 more times. I will let you go ahead and work on the last 2. When you're finished with x's 4 and 5, look up here, check your work to see if we all agree. Finish your work at your seat. Check it with me. Liam.
You're basically just adding 5.
Yeah, we can see our pattern for y as we go. We're adding 5 each time.
We're adding 3. Wait,
Hmm?
then we're adding 5.
Yep. Every time x goes up by 1, our y goes up by 5. Interesting find there. That's a pattern. Right, but remember, this is algebra. You guys are doing some awesome math right now. All right, we will try to do as much as we can on page 97. I'll leave my work up there, or my answers, to make sure you can check if you're still working. I'm going to try to do number 4 on the next page. You know what? Let's go ahead and go down to number 5. We don't have a lot of time left. Number 5. Draw a shape pattern that follows the rule that the shapes go back and forth between 4 sides and 5 sides. That's all you got to do, okay? Draw a shape pattern that follows the rule that shapes go back and forth between 4 sides and 5 sides. So a 4-sided shape, you can choose any quadrilateral in the world. I'm going to do a trapezoid because they're kind of fun. As long as it's 4 sides, it'll work. And then you need a 5-sided shape.
What's that one after the...
Looks kind of like an upside down pentagon.
It looks like a diamond.
Uh-huh.
A 5-sided shape.
Wait, how much do you need?
How many do you have to draw?
Well, you can see that I did 3. If you do 2, that's enough to show your pattern.
No, like the pattern, like...
Correct.
yeah.
If you do 2 sets of your pattern, then everyone will know. If I only did these 2, it's hard to tell my pattern. But if I have 4 sides, 5 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides, that'll be enough to show your pattern.
I'm doing a square and the one you did.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
That's what I'm doing.
All right, now if you finish that last thing really quickly, try number 6. Friends at home, you guys can do this one. Write a number pattern that follows the rule subtracts 6 and also is all odd numbers. So you can start with whatever number you want, but when you subtract 6, you have to only use odd numbers, okay? So that'll be a good challenge practice for you. We will see you soon.